Florida's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
If you had that profile, if you had that tool, the tool built, and asked questions to qualify that opportunity, you would have learned this information instead of investing hours, days, weeks, months, getting everybody involved and all that. You could have learned it in 15 minutes and gone after the right opportunities that had the greater likelihood of coming to fruition.
I think it brings up one of the most rarely used tools by any salesperson, which is the ability to listen. How important is listening in that element of those considerations of not the ideal client, but the client avatar or profile, like you mentioned, to see, is this fitting into that profile that somebody I'm going to be successful with? How important is it the ability to listen, not talk? Talk less and listen more.
You know, it's funny. There are a lot of folks out there that say listening is the most important sales skill. I disagree.
Hmm.
The most important sales skill is the art of asking thoughtful, insightful questions. So there's something meaningful to listen to. See, if we're not adept at asking questions that engage emotion, that open up doors for them to share information with us, they're going to listen to. So step one is crafting the right questions.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if we ask a question that provides information to us that we're motivated to listen to, we will listen. So sometimes we set ourselves up like to say listen, and then we go ho hum ourselves. Like, it's not just the client who gets starts yawning, but sometimes if we don't ask the right question, we can begin yawning. That's a really good point there. Yes, the first time I've ever, you may have hit something for the first time I've ever heard it. That's a great, that's a great point there. Ask a great question and you'll get an answer that's very interesting.
And I'm done. You got your one thing. I'm done. I'm out.
You know what? I think I just got that. I'm going to put that on my social media and scream it from the, because I think that's it. Ask the right question. You'll get something you'll become a better listener, because you now have something you're interested in listening to, and not something that just gets shotgunned out there that you're expected to listen to everything. That's a really great takeaway. If people only get, that's going to have to be the Facebook reel we use on this one or whatnot type of thing on the cut there. That's great.
Sounds good.
Good. Well, Lee, we're kind of. I'm not running out of time. We got a few minutes here.
I flew.
You are. It has. I've learned so much from you already today on this the sales on the first meeting differentiator. And when you talk about the stories, go back about sharing the stories and stuff like that. Is it a story that has to be a library of stories is a great idea, and to keep track of those. But what about sometimes you could tell a story that would project a problem, how the problem would affect the prospect or something like that. And I sometimes do that it's not necessarily a fact or it hasn't happened yet, but I'll just say, my greatest fear is this, and then I'll tell a story about what could happen. Does the story has to be factual or something that has already happened for sure? Or
no, it doesn't have to be factual. It can be just emotive. Because what we're trying to do, the key with coming back to this whole emotion conversation, if you want them to do something, they need to feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe, exactly what you're describing is perfect, because you're arousing emotion, which motivates them to take action, and that's what we're looking for. If all we're having is logic conversation, fact-based conversation, the energy to get them to go do something about it.
Well, that is right. It's exactly what I believe in. I think that we actually created a new pricing app, and part of it is like, here's the problem, but here's the emotional impact. And of course, we're leaving it. We have some words there, but we're leaving it to you to use those words to fill it in yourself. It's just a way to prompt you to say something like that type of thing. It's one of the hardest things to teach, though, isn't it, Lee? In a way, you're asking people to change themselves. And I feel that the emotional element or the emotional contribution you give your client is one of the hardest things to teach, isn't it? How do you take somebody who is they've kind of numbed themselves to reduce the amount of emotions because they don't want to feel let down so much in sales. How do you re-engage those emotions so the person can do that? That's a hard thing to do. Tell me about how you can transform somebody who has numbed themselves and shut themselves down into somebody who's an emotional being to restore that emotional element in their life.
Well, the good news is my experience has been the complete opposite because salespeople are really curious about because they've all heard that expression people buy based on emotion, justify decisions with logic, and no one taught them how to do it. So my experience has been they're extremely receptive in learning framework and being able to add that to their selling. Because what do they all want? They want to sell more, make more money. And if this is a vehicle, a way for them to sell more, they're all ears.
Well, here's the thing about it, though. I do agree. I think there is a lot of interest in it. However, I think when they do it, it's like you're writing left-handed, or it's like because what's your
Yeah.
advice to somebody who tries this? And because I want to make sure that they read this entire book because I think
Yes.
it's an amazing. I think this is an amazing. This is your best work yet, honestly.
Oh,
I
thank you.
I love everything you've written so far. Lee has written. Look at all the books behind him. His right hand shoulder. He's got a lot of books. But this one to me is gets right to the chase and will make I think the biggest difference of all the books you've written because it does create right down and it's everything that we all hope to do. But there's no but really. And I think it's what's your advice for somebody who is attempting to make this shift from complete technical or logical to the emotional element? But it's difficult and they feel awkward and they feel uneasy and
Sure.
they've never done it before. They've never experienced it before. Tell us
That's
about
right. Yep. So there's a couple of things. One is feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable. I don't know who first coined that expression, but you got to be okay with that because it's learning something new. And if you've played a sport before and you worked with a coach who adjusted your swing, if you were a golfer or a baseball player, if you're a pitcher and had your mechanics adjusted, it didn't feel like you for a while.
hmm
But eventually you did it enough and you practiced before you went in the game. So if you're a baseball fan and today you're being taught a curveball, you don't go into the championship game and say, "Hey, let me try out this little curveball." Well, you haven't practiced it yet. So find friends, find colleagues, and practice these new skills. Like we talked about crafting these emotive questions and get feedback internally and get yourself to a point where you say, okay, I can go do this in the field.
hmm
And you do it in the field. And just like with that curveball, maybe you gave him a base hit the first time. Okay, all right, I got to make an adjustment. You ask the question, it didn't land exactly right. Okay, you make some adjustment, and then you come back and you try it again.
Thank you for listening and watching the Service MVP podcast. I want to give you a copy of my free book. Just click on the link below in the description, and one will be sent to you from me personally. Thank you so much for listening.